Good afternoon and welcome to the September 16th, 2019 meeting of the Orlando City Council. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. If you have your agenda, you see that Lieutenant Colonel Richard Ortega was scheduled to give the invocation, but he does not appear to be here, so I'm going to ask Reggie McGill of our staff to do that. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led today by Fleet Management Superintendent Kenneth Howell. Kenneth has served in the U.S. Army for 24 years and 8 months. He served in many locations, including Germany, Bosnia, Croatia, Hungary, Austria, Fort Hood, Texas, Iraq, Kuwait, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Carson, Colorado, and Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri. The roles he served was heavy wheel vehicle mechanic, light wheel vehicle mechanic, squad leader, platoon sergeant, first sergeant, operations sergeant, shop foreman, fleet supervisor, fleet manager, and fleet division manager. You may stand or remain seated.
Let us pray. Dear Father, we thank you for a day that we've never seen before, for opportunities to make a positive difference. We do give praise and thanksgiving for our mayor, our 6 commissioners, for their vision, for their commitment to your people. We pray for all of those who are in our city family, active and retired. Continue to bless them and give them strength. Lord, we do thank you for this day. We pray that as decisions are made, their lives will be positively changed. We do love you and admire you, and we give all thanks to thee. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Ings?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum with all members present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First order of business would be to take up for consideration the minutes from the workshop agenda review and city council meetings of August 12th. Motion by Commissioner Ings, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, so the motion carries. Okay, awards, presentations, and recognitions. We have a couple. First is proclaiming September as Hunger Action Month. Marcia, would you do the intros?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you, Mayor Dyer. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you a proclamation that is brought to us almost every year, I think every year, for Hunger Action Month, the month of September. And the Second Harvest Food Bank leads a number of organizations that provide hunger relief in our community, and it is a collaboration and a cooperative effort in our local community. So I would like to bring up and introduce Michelle Byington, who is the chair of the board of the Second Harvest Food Bank, and she's going to tell us about why this is important to our community and introduce the partners. Michelle?
Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
So thank you guys so much for having us back again this year. Second Harvest Food Bank is a member of our community right here in Central Florida, and last year we distributed 76 million pounds of food in Central Florida. It's about 58 million meals, if you add it up. 1 in 7 of our Central Floridians is insecure when it comes to their food, and 1 in 5 kids in our community go to bed every night not really sure where their next meal is coming from. So we really appreciate all of our feeding partners in the community. Across 6 counties, we have 550. But we have some really special ones here with us today, representing some of our feeding partners right here in Central Florida in Orlando. We've got Catholic Charities with Julie Yetter. Commissioner Stewart is here with Christian Service Center. Thank you. Philip Lynn from Jewish Family Services, Jacqueline Wilson and Fred Smead from Joy MCC, Janelle Ordano from Orlando Dream Center, and Lewis Taylor from the Impact Center. We've got Marcia Lorenz and Catherine Brown from Seniors First, and the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church, I think, is here too. They're great partners of ours. We'd really like to thank you guys again, Mayor Dyer, the commissioners, for recognizing this. Second Harvest Food Bank's vision is to inspire and engage our community to end hunger, and we appreciate your efforts in helping us do that. You can go to Feed Hope Now for more information on how to end hunger in our community, and I would love for our partners to be able to take a picture with us today.
Well, why don't all the partners come forward while I read this proclamation, and we'll
Sounds
take
great.
a picture.
Thank you.
Whereas hunger and poverty are issues of great concern in the city of Orlando and throughout the United States, and whereas the city of Orlando is committed to taking steps to raise awareness about the need to combat hunger, and is committed to working with Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida to educate our residents about the role and importance of food banks. And whereas more than 53,000 individuals in Central Florida rely on food provided by members of Second Harvest Food Bank of Central Florida each day, and whereas food banks across the country will host numerous events throughout the month of September that bring awareness and attention to the problem of food insecurity while encouraging involvement in efforts to end hunger in our local communities. Now therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim the month of September 2019 as Hunger Action Month in the City of Orlando.
There's no money, wasn't there? In the store, that one. Nice jacket, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm gonna blame you for his kid.
Okay, I'm going to call on Commissioner Ortiz to provide background on the Prince of Peace Lutheran Church and Preschool Day for September the 16th.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Run that by me again. I think you got me by surprise here.
Okay, we have a proclamation for Prince of Peace Lutheran Church and Preschool. Mayor Dyer will call on Commissioner Ortiz to provide background on the church, which has been serving children and families for 60 years.
You did catch me by surprise. Anyhow, our Prince of Peace is one of our iconic churches in the in our district, and I'm glad that we're doing this presentation today because it's very on tune with our celebration. And well, from here on, I guess it's all yours.
Okay, and I have a proclamation. Are there members from Prince of Peace that are here today?
Yes,
There we
everybody's
go.
standing up.
Okay. Come on up, and I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas Prince of Peace Preschool and Child Development Center has been serving children and families in the city of Orlando for 60 years, and whereas Prince of Peace Preschool's goal is to provide children the opportunity to grow spiritually, physically, emotionally, socially through creative hands-on learning activities, and whereas Prince of Peace Preschool has been recognized as an early care and education program that exemplifies excellence in the care of young children with a Christian-based curriculum, and whereas Prince of Peace has received the Gold Seal of Excellence from the state of Florida, and whereas the City of Orlando congratulates Prince of Peace Preschool and its staff on its anniversary and thanks them for their efforts to provide educational opportunities to children in our community. Now therefore, we, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, and Tony Ortiz, District 2 City Commissioner, hereby do proclaim September 16, 2019 as Prince of Peace Lutheran Church and Preschool Day in the City of Orlando.
Pastor.
Commissioner, sometimes the plan doesn't go exactly as, but it all works out.
Then it's better.
Okay, let's move into the mayor's update. I want to thank all of our city staff and our citizens who prepared for the impact of Dorian. Fortunately, we were spared the vast majority of it, but it certainly left other areas in complete devastation, particularly the Bahamas. And the government of the Bahamas has expressed its appreciation for the outpouring of concern and offers of support that our community has shown for their country. I know that there are a lot of different organizations that are providing relief in different fashions, but the government officials told us that the best way for Orlando's to support the ongoing relief and recovery effort is through monetary donations and by visiting bahamas.com/relief, bahamas.com/relief. And I encourage you to do that. Okay, Friday we will have our POWMIA recognition ceremony at 11 o'clock in the Rotunda at City Hall. It'll be hosted by our Veterans Advisory Council, and the ceremony honors United States military prisoners of war and those still missing in action, and is a reminder that we will bring our prisoners of war home to their families and vow never to forget those who are missing in action. Wednesday, October 2nd at Seaside Plaza will be the annual State of the Downtown Address. If you're interested in attending, go to the Downtown Orlando Partnership website, which is doporlando.com. A couple items on the consent agenda that I just want to point out is the agreement for a Blueprint Clearinghouse and Enrollment Center, which is a partnership with the Central Florida Urban League to establish and expand the Blueprint Clearinghouse and Enrollment Center. It's based on our very successful Blueprint program, and this new initiative will help to connect residents with vocational training opportunities. A lot of times we have people that are signed up at the Blueprint office for jobs and they don't have the skills to be placed in the jobs that are available, so we want to expand on what we're doing, and I want to specifically acknowledge Commissioner Hill for her leadership in expanding on our original goals of the Blueprint and recognizing that while job opportunities might be there, if you don't have the training or the education to be able to take those jobs, then it doesn't really matter. So thank you, Commissioner Hill, for that. Commissioner Sheehan raised at agenda review the award to Heart of United Way to manage and operate the OUAC, the Orlando United Assistance Center, which has been managed since the Pulse tragedy by Heart of Florida United Way. They were subject to a federal grant that is going to run out on September 30th. So a number of groups, including the City of Orlando, are contributing funds to keep that office open through the end of the year so we can figure out how to move forward with the best way to continue to provide services to those who were affected by the Pulse tragedy. Little good news thing, we are doing some item B20, new playground equipment at the Callahan Neighborhood Center. And then lastly, I just want to point out CRA 8, which is funding to Center for the Homeless, Healthcare Center for the Homeless and Homeless Services Network, so that we can maintain the services of our homeless outreach specialists who work in the downtown area. With that, I will move on to the consent agenda. We will move on to the consent agenda, which is a number of items we're voted on, a number of items that are considered under one vote, and we give each of our commissioners an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and or update you on items from their commission districts. We rotate the order that we do that, and today first up is Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Ortiz for being unopposed in his election and being reelected. I wasn't so lucky. I pulled someone 24 hours out. So congratulations, Commissioner. Well deserved. On item B12, the Heart of Florida United Way, on the Orlando United Assistance Center, I want to thank all of my colleagues. This is very important work that continues. People don't realize when a mass shooting happens in a community, it doesn't go away overnight. Other people might move on with their lives, but these victims don't. And I really want to thank Heather and Chris for working very diligently to make sure that the folks are taken care of. And I really think we need to make sure that there's a level of cultural competency as well as sensitivity to the LGBTQ community as we move forward with awarding these, with working with these grants and making sure people are taken care of. On item C14, something kind of exciting in my district, there is going to be a Women's History and Cultural Center on Mills Avenue at the Girl Scouts. So I'm really excited to see that. I think that's going to be a wonderful addition to Mills 50. It actually is on the Municipal Planning Board minutes, but I just wanted to point out that I think that's an absolutely wonderful cultural facility going in on Mills Avenue. And also on the agenda today, we have the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment. We have a way that residents can request historic lighting if they're willing to pay a portion of the assessment, and Lancaster Drive just did that. So if y'all wonder why Lancaster Drive is getting fancy lights, it's because they're actually willing to pay for them. It's a 50-50 match program at the City of Orlando. So I want to congratulate the Lancaster Drive, the Lancaster Park neighborhood for moving forward on this, and that will look really beautiful. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan. We'll move on to Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, affordable housing, there's a crisis here in Central Florida, but through the leadership of Mayor Dyer and the support of this council, I think that we have been one of the more aggressive folks, I think, in the state when it comes to creating affordable housing. And so with that being said, on September the 18th at 6:30 p.m. at the Northwest Center neighborhood, we will be having a community meeting with Blue Sky Communities, which is now getting ready to start building 200 plus all affordable multifamily housing there, and it will be called Fair Lawn because it's in the Lake Lawn community of Mercy Drive. So that's going to be a great project that we're undertaking. That was two dilapidated properties there in that area called Pepper Tree. So I'd like to thank this council and you, Mayor, for your leadership in helping create affordable housing there in that community. And this particular project is also going to address homelessness. So there will be a set-aside amount of multi-units that is specially designed for families that are homeless along with veterans. So I think we had not yet addressed homeless families, but on this project we will. On September 21st, 2019, of course, we're going to have a community wellness day there in the Paramore Jackson Community Center. Thank you, Walter Hawkins, for your leadership on the second year of organizing this. Last year it was well attended there at the ACE School, and we expect the same participation, which will have almost 50 vendors from the community addressing health disparities in health and wellness. As the mayor stated, we can have all the housing and affordable housing that we like, address homelessness, address health and wellness, but if we do not have training in our communities, it's for naught. And we're not talking about just training for entry-level jobs, but training for living wage jobs. So with that being said, on September the 27th and the 28th, we will now start a OSHA 10 and then a OSHA 30 class. This will be the first OSHA 10, and we have 30 participants at this time, and it will be from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. there at the Jackson Center, and we will have scholarships available. And of course, with our new training Blueprint 2.0, this is a citywide effort, not just for those in Paramore. So this will also be for those that are interested anywhere throughout the city. We'll just be holding this training here, there at Jackson. And the OSHA 10 program prepares individuals for entry-level employment in the construction industry. And we know that there is a construction boom that's taking part here in Central Florida. So I'm really excited about the beginning of this construction safety program that we're starting there in the Paramore area. And on September the 28th, myself and the mayor, along with the leadership of Lisa Early and her team, we will be doing a ribbon cutting there at the Willows Park in our northern region of Pine Hills of District 5. But I did want to bring some facts today about how important community parks is to this council and to Mayor Dyer, especially in our urban core. Since 2016, now to currently to 2019, in the Ivy Lane Community Center, we invested over $100,000 there. And the reason that number is somewhat low is because with the partnership of the NFL during Pro Bowl season, they did some community work and brought some funds to that area. So when you start talking about in-kind donations at that particular park, came close to about $300,000. And then there's the park that myself and Commissioner Ing share there in District 5 and District 6, which is Gilbert McQueen Park. We invested about $293,000 there in the urban core. Here recently in the Northwest Center community of Mercy Drive, where we're doing the affordable housing, which is walking distance from these housing projects that we're building, we invested about $338,000. Now at the Willows Park, that's in that northern Pine Hills core, which is really, I think, important, is because there, the kids did not have access to safe green space, and this is going to be all green space with some amenities there, and that is a $250,000 investment. There in the Ivy Lane corner, Pleasant Valley Park, that had became a drug haven for some folk and those that, you know, was doing some things that was derelict there at that park. We came and cleaned it up and invested about $160,000 there. And if you drive by any evening, you'll see the neighbors out there convening in the park and walking their dogs. It's just a beautiful sight. And here we're getting ready to kick off as the mayor stated, $100,000 with swing sets there at Callahan. But we're going a step farther. We're getting ready to renovate that entire park there in the Callahan neighborhood and put about $297,000 there in that park. And of course, with council support and Mayor Dyer's support, we're getting ready now they're already started actually, the renovation of Lake Larned Dune with a $9 million investment. So with that being said, in the last 3 years in District 5, and of course I'd like to thank this council and thank you, Mayor, for your leadership, we've invested $10,438,000. So when sometime we talk about these little projects and snippets here at council, when you do the numbers and do the math, that's a major investment there in the urban core. So if you guys can help me clap and thank my council for that, I really appreciate it. It makes a difference for these neighborhood youth and families when we start talking about safe parks and healthy living there in our urban core. So I want to say that, and I just have two other things to list that hopefully council, I think here at last council, I asked a question about the Ameriscape $1 million contract and asked council to pull it until I can get better information why there wasn't minority participation. And so there's a little snafu. Hopefully we can get it together. And it's somewhat disappointing to me that a contractor can get $1 million contract and we don't have to have any teeth to make them have any minority participation. So I will be voting no on this, and it's a good in services. I've spoken with legal. We are going to try to find a way to make sure that there is minority participation when it comes to goods and services. and making sure that maybe the contractors get extra points, because right now they don't even have to bid and put a minority piece in place and still get awarded the contract. And I have nothing against Ameriscape. I want to make that known. It's just the process. And they have nothing, they did a fair bidding. It was legal, and it's something that the city, I think we need to correct, because I do know Ameriscape hire many minorities in their company. So I'm very proud that they do that. But I do want to make sure when we're giving out $1 million contracts that we make sure that there's some minority participation that's involved in that. And as the mayor stated earlier about the expansion of the blueprint, now we are expanding it to where it's more than just a job, but giving folks certifications and training so that they can live the American dream, to where they don't have to worry about the next venue, because we've ran out of venues. The next project, as Commissioner stated, is going to be the Camp World Stadium, $66 million project, and we do have Steinmax that's getting ready to be completed in the $9 million Lake Lana Dune project, which the blueprint is part of that contract, those contracts, and it's going to still be heavily involved. But I would like to bring our Director of Minority Participation and of our Blueprint program up, Gennaro Coulter, so he can further explain to the community that we are not ceasing with the Blueprint job program nor subcontracting program, that through the partnership with the Urban League, which has been a great leader in this community when it comes to working with those in the urban core, that they're going to be assisting us with the training piece. And I'm so very glad to be working with Mr. Glenzine with that. And it will be there. It's going to be a citywide effort, the training piece, which is great. It's not just a Paramore piece, because people, we do believe on this council, and Mayor Dyer, and believe that training is training, and everybody in our districts need job training and certificate training. But the Urban League will be the conduit that we use, that will be here centrally located in the downtown core. But can you expand on this for me?
Mayor and City Commissioners, thank you. Thank you for bringing me up, Commissioner Hill. People by now, I'm sure, know that the Blueprint was started over 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. And it always, as it was started, had an expiration date. And it went along with building of the venues, the 3 major venues. We're coming to an end of all of that. That's why the office was closed. However, Commissioner Hill and the mayor are absolutely right. We will continue on the last 2 projects that got in under the Blueprint, Lake Lorna Dune and the upgrades to Camping World Stadium, with the Blueprint intact as it always was. The employment piece will be done in my office, the MBE division office. Still, that will happen. If contractors go to hire on that project, they'll have to send us a job order. We will go to the Blueprint database. If there are people there meeting the qualifications, we send them, and it's expected that if they meet the qualification, they do have to hire them. The subcontracting piece, we will continue doing, except now we will do it under the MBE division. They did that anyway. When I was doing the Blueprint, I did everything other than the regular city contracts. That's still intact and will be intact. That piece will be up under the MBE division in City Hall. The part that we're very excited about is the training piece that we have. It's a continuation of what we did in the Blueprint office, and in some sense an expansion of that in terms of the people that will be served. The people that will be served are people who can qualify for jobs, but not jobs that are going to have benefits or that will allow them to purchase a house, even affordable housing. Under the Urban League, the program that we're doing with them, they will be able to go into one of more than 100 trainings, vocational trainings, that end up with certificates, all of them paying wages that are higher than starting wages, and that are wages that will allow them, if in fact they were interested, to qualify for an affordable house And in addition, while they're in the training, they will be supported. They can get a basic need subsidy so that they will be able to focus their time and energy on learning what they need to learn to get their certificate and get a job. And that's something that we really weren't able to do with the blueprint in its old stage, and we're very excited about this. We imagine there are hundreds of people that are going to take advantage of this. The very first one that Commissioner Hill did with our office, we did an outreach and we had 80 people that showed up at the outreach. So there are people who are very much interested in getting training and improving their lives. There was an issue that was concerned that the people from Paramore will have to go to Belco, and they don't. The Urban League has opened an office, will be opening an office at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, on Church Street, right next to where their old office was. So it'll still be centrally located to serve the people of Paramore who are our original recipients of the blueprint. But as Commissioner said, it is expanded. People in Paramore get priority, but we will be serving everybody who comes to that office and is interested in. That's kind of like my $5 spiel about the change.
And so with that being said, before I close is, someone that have strapped up my bootstraps and had to make it off of welfare and food stamps. And the only way I was able to do that originally was through a certificate program and then go back to college. So I do believe in hand-ups, not handouts. And I do believe education is the greatest equalizer. And the best social program that we can ever put together is a job. And the way that they get great jobs is to get great training and certifications and then transition over to Valencia where they can get a degree and then move on to UCF. So I think this is the transition of breaking generational poverty. So I'm really excited about what's happening here today. And with that being said, I complete my update.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor. In reviewing the minutes, the June minutes of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, the 2019 recipient of the Colonel Joe Kittinger Award is Robert J.S. Snow. U.S. Navy, Mr. Snow was the founder of Rosie O'Grady's Flying Circus and was a commercial, instrument-related, multi-engine sailplane and hot air balloon pilot. He is credited with revitalizing downtown Orlando, nationally recognized as an entertainment entrepreneur who founded Orlando's Church Street Station. The city of Orlando dedicated a prominent downtown street, the Bob Snow Lane, in 1992. Now, Ms. Carolyn Fennell, Senior Director of Public Affairs and Community Relations, presented the committee the recommendation for this year's recipient, and she mentioned that the Aviation Authority created the Colonel Joe Kittinger Award to recognize and honor a local veteran for his or her outstanding service and contributions to aviation, the country, and the Central Florida community. So again, I want to congratulate Bob Snow for his recipient of the Colonel Joe Kittinger Award for 2019. And for item H2, which is the 2019-2020 and fiscal year 2020-2021 School Resource Officer program, after 13 years of calling for a sworn police officer to be assigned to each elementary school in Orlando, it's done. And I'm very happy to see this great accomplishment and sacrifice for the overall safety of all students in our public schools in the city of Orlando, and especially in the elementary schools. Though a tragedy occurred in South Florida, I'm thankful that the Florida House and Senate and Governor had the courage to enact a state law to protect all schools. Thanks to the City of Orlando, the Orlando Police Department, and the Orange County Public School Board, and the Superintendent of Orange County Public Schools for your commitment to the safety of all students, especially our elementary school students. And what this means is all schools within the City of Orlando, the high school, the middle schools, and the elementary schools will have a police officer, one police officer assigned to each of those schools. Now, the high schools will have 2 officers assigned to them, and the middle schools and elementary school will have 1 officer. So again, congratulations to that effort. On item A4, the agreement for the Blueprint Clearinghouse and Enrollment Center, I was concerned about the expansion of the Camping World Stadium, the renovation of the Lake Lorna Doone Park, and the Dr. Philip Steinmetz Center, as those were ongoing programs where the Blueprint was involved. I was also concerned about the awarding of this to the Urban League, and I was asking a question if this was a sole source. And if so, where was the documentation, because it was not a part of the agenda item. And so I was concerned that we need to also give other organizations an opportunity to be able to compete if we're awarding $400,000 towards an organization. And I think that's important. So with that, I'm voting no on item A4. And I do appreciate everything that has been done concerning our Blueprint effort, and I look forward to seeing more things to occur. For item B6, the award to Killebrew for the American Way Sanitary Sewer Project, I will be voting no. Killebrew Incorporated has not demonstrated good faith efforts with its MWBE participation plan. As a matter of fact, their plan of MWBE participation for this contract of $1.8 million has 0% or no minority MBE participation, and it only has 0.90% of WBE participation, and for a total of $16,197. So I really feel that it's time now that the City of Orlando look again. A disparity study is needed by the City of Orlando, and we must do that, and that would help us in these areas and in these deficits. I will also be voting no on item B7. And this is the award to S.A. Casey Construction for the Parks Break Room Build-Out Project. S.A. Construction Incorporated has not demonstrated good faith efforts, and when you look at the 2 companies that bid it on this particular project, S.A. Casey, Casey's bid was $137,857, and the J. Costa Group was $364,084.84, a difference of $1,507.84. And Gennaro, I'm still waiting for you to bring me that differences that you spoke of to show how it did not meet the city's requirements for the next bidder. So I'm voting no on item B7, and that's all I have.
And we'll move to Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to apologize for not being here for agenda review. So I'll try to make up for it by being quick. A couple of quick announcements. I do want to echo the mayor's comments. Congrats and thank you to our staff in preparation for Dorian. I thought we were adequately prepared and shared that message with residents. So thanks to the staff for doing that. Also, on 9/11, I attended a Patriots Day breakfast hosted by the Hotel and Lodging Association and their vendors. And it was a great event, but the key for me, and I'll share it with parents like myself, 9/11 happened 18 years ago. And just a reminder, it was a reminder to me, if you have children under the age of 30, That means there were about 12 when 9/11 happened. And so I think we need to make sure we share the story, and as parents, we'll put on whatever twist we think is appropriate as parents. But it was a key event in our history, and I think we need to make sure the next generation is at least aware of the events, and that was the takeaway for me. On the agenda, most of the issues affecting District 1 are kind of parliamentary and standard operating procedures, so I don't have any. I do have one comment. That's H2. Commissioner Ings mentioned it briefly about the school resource officers. And as he said, rightly so, the state legislature mandated that we have a resource officer in every school, and it's the right thing to do. I think we all know that. But we also all know everything that we do has a cost to it. And I put me in the category of disappointed with the school board. We dealt with this a year ago. Here we are a year later. I haven't heard of any plan from the school board to help figure out the cost that really is associated with operating the schools. They're reimbursing us about a third of the cost, and the other 2/3 the taxpayers of City of Orlando are going to pay for our share. So again, it's the right thing to do now. But I just hope that, Mayor, in some way through our team, our staff, we can keep the dialogue going and say, guys, look, we're here to help. It's the right thing to do, but you can't just lump the cost completely on our taxpayers. I just don't think that's right. Thank you. I'm done. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo the comments from Commissioner Gray on both aspects, on the school board and also on Dorian. Our staff did a magnificent job, and we can say thank you enough. In addition, I have to say that Home Depot and Lowe's did a great job too. There was plenty of materials there until the day before. So we have to also give them kudos for doing that, because I'm pretty sure the community felt a lot more comfortable being able to, at the very last minute, still being able to find some of these items that were so much needed. On items H3, 4, and 5, I want to congratulate the Orlando Police Department on those grants, but I also have to say that Elvis is still with us. He has not left the building. The electronic license and vehicle information system, some people are a little upset because they think this is some sort of system that's going to be identifying certain people and whatnot. It's no different. The way it was explained to me is no different than what we already have. The difference is that instead of the officers calling the communication from their radios, they'll be able to access this data through the computer. So it's much efficient system for the police officers that have to deal with so much changes and evolution in technology in this day and age. So congratulations, Orlando Police Department. On Tuesday, talking about academics and training, Commissioner Hill, on Tuesday, September 10th, we held our first Government Academy of the fall semester. I want to thank Ms. Lynn Tipton from the Florida League of Cities University for putting in time and effort to teach our students about the Florida state government. We have a great group of people joining us, and we're looking forward to the upcoming weeks. On Thursday, September 12th, I had the pleasure of attending City of Orlando 13th Annual Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff celebration. I want to congratulate and give kudos to our sponsors and volunteers, our staff once again, Mr. Gina Pinedo, your team from, help me out, Mayor, I'm just drawing a blank here. Multicultural Affairs, thank you so very much. I just turned 54, that's why. To our sponsors and volunteers who worked diligently to make the night a great success. I think it may have been one of our biggest nights yet. And for other events and announcements, follow up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm starting to sound like Commissioner Stewart.
Not if you go to Twitter.
Tweeter.
That's a good segue to Commissioner Stewart.
If you guys go to Twitter, if you find it, would you let me know? Because we want to tell him what it really is. Thank you, Commissioner. Congratulations. I look forward to serving with you. A couple of things I want to share. First, our sympathy goes out to the passing of OPD Officer Harris Swaby, who passed away a few days ago. He's to be missed, and there will be some information about the funeral arrangements coming up in the next couple of days. His family will be in town tomorrow to help finalize those. So I want to let y'all know he had a difficult and long battle with cancer and kept it up, kept serving the citizens of Orlando during that time. So that's a good example for all of us. A couple of events coming up I just want to share briefly. The College Park Neighborhood Association's having their community socials Wednesday, September 18th. This Saturday, the intercoastal cleanup will be done. They'll be doing one of those lakes they'll be doing is Lake Orlando. We need volunteers for that. That'll be at 9 o'clock this Saturday. Yeah, I saw that. You're welcome. Ivanhoe Village is having their inaugural steak cook-off. It's going to be this Saturday. Look for the website for more information. District 3 Parks Master Planning session for the city's master planning meeting for the District 3 will be on Tuesday, September 24th from 6 to 8 at Lou Gardens. Please come out there and give us your thoughts on where the city ought to go in terms of parks and recreation. Rosemont community is having their inaugural Rosemont Music Festival on September 28th over at the Lake Fairview Park, so please plan on attending that. A National Night Out is coming up October 1st, and then the most important thing, really, the Zombie Toberfest is coming up, and it's time for us to pull out our City of Orlando zombie plan that we did years ago, so make sure in case we were attacked by zombies, we would know what to do. We'll find them on Twitter. Sorry, I couldn't help it. On the agenda, let me mention a couple of things briefly. I always get a chance to share. We have citizens that run our boards. Those boards are very important to how we run our city. They're volunteer boards. We have 3 members from the District 3 that will be joining: John Brown-Sword, George Pirelli, and Cooper Reese will be joining. We'll be approving them today. But it's just a constant reminder that we can't do our job without volunteers to help come in and do those jobs, important boards, and I appreciate them so much. B3 will be extending our lease with Freedom Ride for 2 more years to give them a chance to move to new locations. Congratulations on that, Pat and Marianne. Appreciate the opportunity to serve you and serve our citizens. B15 will be doing the Tennis Design Center. HJ High Construction will be doing that. I mention that because they have about a 77% MWBE involvement in the design work. I appreciate the work that HJ High does in our community. Special thanks to Denise and her staff on the Greenwood Cemetery plots on C-17 to extend some additional locations for some of our citizens. And D1 and 2 on the AmeriCorps. Some of y'all don't realize how much we leverage other money coming to us to make things happen in our community. And on the D1 and 2, we'll be leveraging about a one-third to two-thirds grant to bring in people, I think up to about 70 in throughout our schools through the AmeriCorps grant. And they have an incredible impact on more than 5,000 students last year. And then the last, I want to just kind of piggyback on everybody's comment about school resource officers, and I find it incredibly challenging to me for us to not get what we cost for school resource officers, and that the Orange County School Board has created the Orange County Police Force. So either we need to do the police work or they do, and it's okay with me either way. But if we're going to do it, then we need to be reimbursed for the work that we do. And I think all of us would agree that we don't get enough reimbursement for that work in our community. So I'm happy we got a little bit more, and want to keep fighting to make sure that we're covering the costs of a dedicated officer at each one of our schools. So, and with that, Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and move the agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ortiz. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And so the consent agenda is approved. Are there any, people that are just here for the consent agenda, we'll give a couple minutes. No, not a couple minutes, half a minute. Are there students with us here today? I see a lot of faces that look like, why don't you guys all stand up and be recognized? Wow. Is everybody from Valencia? Okay, well, thank you for being here. Hopefully,
Downtown campus?
Oh, any, probably not. You guys are from the West Campus, right?
Downtown?
East Campus, okay. Well, thank you for being here today. Okay, if there's no objection, we're going to recess the city council meeting and convene the CRA meeting. David Barilla will be running that show today, but I think we can dispose of the first three items, which are meeting minutes. So number one is accepting meeting minutes of
So
the...
moved.
Second.
I'm just going to pick. Commissioner Stewart made the motion. Commissioner Sheehan was second. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed. Motion carries. Second one is July 8th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. July 24th meeting minutes of the advisory board.
Second.
Motion by Sheehan, second by Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, David, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Item 4 in front of you now is the CRA's fiscal year 2019 and 2020 CRA budget and budget resolution. Staff is requesting CRA adoption of the proposed fiscal year 2019 and 2020 Community Redevelopment Agency budget and resolution, and it was recommended for approval by the advisory board on August 7th of 2019. Happy to address any questions anyone has.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Discussion, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 5. Those are also minutes. So those are DDB CRA Advisory Board minutes from their workshop of July 24th. Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, number 6.
Item 6 is the CRA's annual agreement with the Downtown Orlando Partnership, or DOP. You'll recognize a number of their activities that they partner with the CRA on in downtown as they advance and assist us in advancing the CRA's redevelopment area goals. Some of those include Third Thursday, the State of Downtown, the Golden Bricks, welcoming new businesses into downtown as well. The DOP funding agreement is for the amount of $25,000, and that is the same amount that was approved last year. Happy to address any questions.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, 7.
Item 7 is the homeless outreach funding agreement that was noted a bit earlier. This is the funding agreement that provides for the 2 red shirts that walk around downtown Orlando and communicate with those less fortunate and connect them with services as well as permanent supportive housing. The amount is for the total of $61,050 to the Healthcare Center for the Homeless, and this is, again, the same amount that was approved last year for their services.
Second.
Is that Commissioner Hill?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan.
Mayor.
Discussion.
Yeah. Let me just make sure these guys work out of a location over at the Christian Service Center that their home office rents from us, but none of this funding actually goes towards any of that. It just goes to their personnel costs. Is that correct?
Correct. It goes
I want
to
to make
just
sure
the personnel costs.
there have been some questions raised about that to make sure, so it wouldn't require me to abstain from voting.
Yep, correct.
Right. Thank you.
Further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 8.
Item 8 is the CRA's annual agreement with Seniors First. Seniors First provides transportation to 11 of downtown senior towers. They provide weekly service so our seniors can access the daily items that they need, such as they'll take to the grocery store, pharmacies, and numerous other destinations in the area. The amount of funding for this fiscal year requested is $47,657.67, and that's an approximately $800 increase over last year's approved amount.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 9.
Number 9 is the cost share agreement between the DDB and the CRA. This document allows for the DDB to cover costs that the CRA ultimately absorbs for the shared staff in the way we operate the organizations. The amount is approximately $371,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. 10.
Item 10 is the city services agreement for the CRA and the City of Orlando. This allows the CRA to compensate the city for those services that the city provides as support, items such as legal services, procurement services, IT services. The amount on this agreement is $573,229.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart,
Second.
by Commissioner Hill. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. 11.
Item 11 is a funding agreement for Starter Studio. You may recognize that name. Starter Studio is located in the ground floor of the Exchange Building on Garland and Church Street, or Garland Avenue and Church Street. This will help them to continue a program where they have an accelerator program for technology-based companies. They would be required to host a minimum of 2 cohorts with up to 16 different companies and a minimum of 4. The funding amount requested is $125,000. In addition to having the programming, they would also offer funding to the second stage companies, those who are ready to kind of come out of the incubator space or the startup phase and move on to actually getting into business, to the tune of $25,000 to $225,000. And the amount, $125,000, is the same amount that was offered to them last year.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And number 12.
All right, number 12, last item for the CRA is the UCF Research Foundation Downtown Incubator Funding Agreement. This agreement will help UCF start a new downtown incubator in the Exchange Building on the first floor there. They will build out approximately 5 offices and about 1,500 square feet and really look to connect those companies, that some of which may come out of Starter Studio, to the next phase of development, providing them office, business coaching, leadership training, and the numerous other services that are needed to become successful. The $125,000 associated with this agreement is specifically towards the build-out costs of that facility, the incubator facility.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. David, is there any further business to come before the
There is
CRA
not.
today?
Thank you.
Thank you. And as the CRA will stand adjourned, and we will convene the Neighborhood Improvement District Board of Directors meeting. Brooke, you want to just say 2 or 3 words about these 2 agreements? Just tell the public what the two agreements are.
Oh.
Let's go with number 1. Just explain what the agreements are.
Okay. So the first item that you have is a funding agreement between the Neighborhood Improvement District and the Main Street organization that is also in the Soto area. This helps the Main Street do things like events, art installations, et cetera, to help move the NID forward in its goals and objectives.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Discussion, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, and the second one.
The second item is just the fiscal agreement for city services between the NID and the City of Orlando for services that are provided by the city to the NID to help it work towards its goals and objectives.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Hill. Discussion, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Any further business for the NID today?
There is no further business for the NID.
Then we will stand adjourned as the NID. We, without objection, will reconvene the City Council meeting, and that brings us to hearings. And the first is to conduct a public hearing with respect to the preliminary budget of the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority, excuse me, for fiscal year 2019-2020. I see the CEO of the airport, Phil Brown, and the CFO of the airport, Kathleen Sharman, are both in attendance. We heard or had a presentation on the preliminary budget at the last GOA meeting. We conduct this public hearing as part of the enabling and legislation related to the GOA board operating the airport that the city of Orlando owns. Phil, do you or Kathleen need to make any further comment, or are we good where we are? Okay. Then we will open this public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to comment on GOA's proposed budget? Then we will close the hearing, and we do not take a vote on that. We simply accept public engagement if there is any. And we will, thank you for being here. We will move on to item 2, and I have quite a script for this. So this is the public hearing in regard to resolution of intent. This is what Commissioner Sheehan was referencing during her comments. Public hearing in regard to resolution of intent to use the uniform method for collection of special assessments for the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area Decorative Street Lighting Project. On August the 12th, 2019, the City Council adopted an initial assessment resolution for the imposition of a special assessment upon benefited properties located with the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area from 909 Lancaster Drive to 1023 Lancaster Drive for the payment of certain costs associated with a decorative street lighting project. Pursuant to Section 197.3632 Florida statutes, the city is authorized to have the levy and collection of a non-ad valorem assessment administered by the Orange County property appraiser and tax collector, provided the city meets certain notice requirements and adopts a resolution expressing its intent to use the uniform method of collection for such non-ad valorem assessment. The city has complied with the notice requirements and must now consider adoption of the attached resolution of intent. Upon adoption, the city will provide the required copies of the resolution of intent to the Orange County property appraiser, Orange County tax collector, and the State of Florida Department of Revenue. Is there a motion?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second
Mayor.
by Commissioner Stewart.
I need to read the resolution into the record.
Oh, you need to read that as
Yes.
well? Okay, go ahead, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, expressing its intent to use the uniform method for collection of non-ad valorem special assessments in the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area for a period greater than 1 year, stating the need for the levy of such non-ad valorem special assessments, providing a legal description of the real property subject to the levy, and providing for the mailing of this resolution by the statutory deadline.
Okay, I'm going to re-accept Commissioner Sheehan's motion and Commissioner Stewart's second, just in case we needed to do it in that order. I will open the hearing for any public testimony. Is there anyone that would like to testify related to the decorative street lighting project? Close it. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, so the motion carries. Okay, we are also going to adopt the final assessment resolution. So this time around, I think I'll let the clerk read the title first before I do the whole thing. Madam Clerk.
A final assessment resolution of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, authorizing and adopting the non-ad valorem assessment within the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area for the purpose of paying all or portion of the cost of the decorative street lighting project, paying other project financing and collection costs related thereto, making certain findings and determinations of special benefit and the logical relationship between the decorative street lighting project and the benefit received, specifying the estimated capital cost of the decorative street lighting project to be assessed and the total amount to be levied against each benefited parcel, specifying the unit of measure for and the estimated maximum annual amount of said assessment to be levied against each benefited property within the described area, specifying the number of years said assessment is to be levied, providing for the prepayment and acceleration of the special assessment, providing for adjustments to the amount of the assessment, adopting the non-ad valorem assessment role subject to adjustment as provided for herein, confirming the approvals, authorizations, delegations, specifications, findings, and determinations contained in the initial assessment resolution for the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area adopted by City Council on August 12, 2019, stating the effect of the final assessment resolution, providing for certain other actions, authorizations, approvals, and delegations of authority in relation thereto, providing for severability and effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. On August the 12th, 2019, City Council adopted the initial assessment resolution for Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area. The final assessment resolution approves and authorizes the levy collection and enforcement of a non-ad valorem assessment with the Lancaster Drive Special Assessment Area. The revenues from such assessment will be used to pay 1/2 of the capital cost of the purchase and installation of decorative streetlights along Lancaster Drive from 909 Lancaster Drive to 1023 Lancaster Drive, and for other financing and collection costs related thereto. Total amount of the assessment without interest is $31,000, which constitutes 1,409.09 per parcel. Pursuant to the city's decorative street lighting policy, the other 1/2 cost of the purchase and installation of the decorative street lights will be paid by the city. Discussion. I'll open it up to the public for anyone who'd like to testify. Close the hearing. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor of the motion indicate so by Commissioner.
I was just, I'm looking at the students' faces when we were mentioning all this, and I see these blank faces, like, what the heck are they talking about over there? Can we explain a little bit about what we're doing here, so for their benefit, real quick, so they can take it back to college and say, well, this is what that was all about?
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Explain this to
As I explain this special assessment we're doing in Lancaster, real quick.
Okay, we have standard issue. Actually, this is. You want to do it?
Yeah, I was approached by a neighborhood, and if you want to get upgraded street lights, which is the acorn lights that are more pedestrian friendly and all that, you have to pay what's called a special assessment. So this basically goes to the neighborhood. They have to vote on it, and the majority has to agree to pay the special assessment. Now, some people think it's not fair because it's not everybody, because some people have to pay the assessment even though they don't vote for it, but this is where a majority rules. And we do go through this assessment process, and it's going to be about $1,000 per $1,042 or something like that per property. And they can pay for it over time on their tax roll. And at the end of the term, which is 10 years, they will have their street lights paid off, their decorative street lights. So again, anytime you do anything above the Cobra lights that happen in the neighborhoods, this is the process that we have to go through.
And it's going to look gorgeous.
Of course it will, because it's Lancaster Park and it's a beautiful neighborhood. Thank you, Commissioner.
No, thank you.
And unlike your property taxes, which are based on the value of your home and would differ from home to home, each home will pay the same amount in the special assessment. All right, there'll be a quiz on that at the end. Okay, let's move to hearings, ordinances, first read.
You can vote on it, I think.
Ordinance 2019-46, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to alcoholic beverage sales, amending chapters 58, 65, and 66, Land Development Code, providing performance standards, updating the review process for distance separation requirements, and revising definitions, providing legislative findings and for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this? I do have one card. Luana Gelser.
So sorry. I forgot to ask for the thing. I apologize. Luana Gelser, 7674 St. Stephen Court, Orlando, Florida. When I looked at this 17-page document, I was very concerned about what was being said as far as what was a church and what was a school. And I noticed that it wasn't read out loud, but from my understanding, you wanted a clarification of a definition of a church or a school. And this will allow new companies to come in and almost sell within 300 feet or to expand. But my concern is the policy used to say 1,000 feet and that they had to get special permission if they wanted to do something. I mean, I wish I had got with you to put this up because it clearly indicates that a lot of things are being changed in this ordinance. And if you're not looking at all 17 pages to see what has been redacted and removed, it sounds like it's okay based on outdoor alcohol sales, but there's way more in this that I'm concerned about.
And this being the first reading of this, oh, this is an ordinance. You don't have to have a second reading? I'm not sure.
It'll be a second reading.
Okay. Maybe I can get the additional information because I'm just concerned about changing so many things and it quickly changed, but it's not even being discussed in a detailed manner of what the impact of this might be, because it literally, you read just a few words of it, but this is a 17-page document. So today I'm here to say it needs to be more clear on what is going on. Is you're changing it to the zoning to say that within a residential area or within a church or a school, now instead of 1,000 feet, it can be 300 feet. Because it goes back and forth, and why are we changing the definitions of a church and a school? Did you have to make it clear in the proposal? I read the proposal. It clearly stated a church and a school. I don't understand why we had to make it seem different, because, maybe now on page 4, maybe instead of a child care facility, it's just K through 12 is considered a school and not preschool. That's just, maybe that's what we're clearing up. And I don't know what you're talking about by a church, but when we come back before, we're going to ask for some additional information. But I am totally opposed us taking this any further without some additional detailed information. If we're changing the requirements of selling alcohol from 1,000 feet from a church and a school in an existing residential community for new companies that are coming in, and we're opening this up, the floodgates, and now it's only 300 feet, that is appalling to certain communities. And I would hope that this will be throughout the city, and maybe we can try it in Thornton Park or College Park first instead of Paramore. But since I've seen the city rescind, give special treatment or give a special permit to the soccer stadium to sell alcohol within 1,000 feet, less than 1,000 feet, next to an existing church that had been there 30 years. And then across the street now they got a special permit to sell alcohol. And then there's another bureau, I don't drink, what you call that? What is it? Yeah, they do the beer on Church Street. So I'm concerned about why are we making it so much easier to come in certain communities, and if it's going to apply to everyone, let's start in College Park, Thornton Park, maybe Baldwin Park. Let's try some other areas first, because we clearly would like to see this apply somewhere else. But that's a serious change from 1,000 feet to 300. That 300 feet, that's 700 feet. Thank you.
Commissioner Hale.
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify for those that are at home looking, or those that's in the audience, because I don't like shenanigans, politicizing stuff. This ordinance is an all-city ordinance, and it is not specifically geared to District 5 Paramore. This is an all-city, and the person that just spoke actually knows policy very well and is deceiving the public. This is an all-city ordinance and is not specifically geared towards Paramore. It's in Thornton Park, College Park, Lake Nona, and throughout the districts in downtown Orlando.
Commissioner Sheehan.
And I'd like to give a Thornton Park example of why this assists small businesses, because if you all remember, Anthony's Pizza used to have to walk the beer from the 7-Eleven across the street because of the school, and we put reasonable restrictions on there because there wasn't any reason that shouldn't have happened. It was actually impacting small businesses. They could not compete with larger businesses. So what you had was the larger restaurants could serve beer and wine wherever they wanted to, and these smaller businesses that were located closer to neighborhoods couldn't compete because they couldn't even sell beer and wine. And I don't drink either, but I think this is an economic development tool. It's fair. And I know that this actually impacted part of my district over on Curry Ford Road, which is why we started looking at some of these initiatives. So thank you for your support, Council. Again, it's not to do anything wrong. It's to simply clarify our rules a little bit. And something else that was happening was these small churches were locating in strip malls, and they could stop any redevelopment in an entire area in terms of breweries and kind of, the uses that were popular. So again, it's just a way to clean up some of our restrictions. We've not seen any problem with relaxing these restrictions, and I think it's been good for us citywide, and I fully support it.
Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Sheehan. There are several issues that happened in my district. One of those happens to be a case where there was a church who had set up a storefront church, had been there for 18 years, had never told the city they were a church. And so when we set up a package store a couple of blocks away, they wanted to stop it. And we said, you're not a church as far as we're concerned, because you've never actually got a license to be a church. This forces us to have a process in which people will come to us and talk about that. In addition, we also have several occasions where we have locations directly across the street from a church in College Park. So those of us who think that this is only for one particular neighborhood are simply mistaken completely.
Amen.
All right, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Let's see, let's go to hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1.
Ordinance 2019-37, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to the city's growth management plan, providing the summer 2019 package of growth management amendments pursuant to the expedited state review process, amending future land use subarea policies S.12.8, S.12.9, and S.12.9.1, amending historic preservation element figure HP-2, providing for amendment of the city's growth management plan, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Ing, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2.
Ordinance 2019-41, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, rezoning certain land generally located at the northwest and southwest corners of Parkway Center Court and North Orange Blossom Trail, northwest of North John Young Parkway and Lee Road, comprised of 2.4 acres of land, more or less, from Industrial Park with the Wekiva Overlay District to Industrial Commercial with the Wekiva Overlay District, providing for amendment of the city's official zoning maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, permit disclaimer, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3.
Ordinance 2019-42, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, relating to street pole banners, amending Section 64.321 Orlando City Code, creating the Curry Ford West Banner District, providing for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner
I love that they all three did. That's cool.
Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 4.
Ordinance 2019-43, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending Chapter 39 of the City Code regarding parking by amending the boundaries of the downtown parking district, amending various definitions and titles used in Chapter 39, renumbering the definitions, updating the parking regulations, and including the use of parking meter technology, providing legislative findings and for severability, codification, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify? Luana Gelser.
That away?
Yep.
Okay. Luana Gelser, 7674 St. Stephen's Court, Orlando, Florida, zip 32835. I come before you today is having no problem with this. I'm just very concerned of the map and the changes in how a lot of places were changing in this. But when I looked at why you were doing this, I was very concerned about, let me get right here in front of me, why we were doing this, and it was really to increase the number of meters on the streets stalled and create a village, and to use an app based on parking meter technology, which will increase parking division revenue by yet an undetermined amount annually. You know, a person who grew up in the inner city of Orlando, moved here in Paramore in 1971, who watched a lot of changes, I was like, I don't have a problem with this, but why are we increasing revenue? I know it's going to come to the city, but why are we steering people to Creative Village with this big map with Colonial, DeGore, Westmoreland? I mean, I was just looking at the map and I was very concerned about it. It encompassed mostly downtown, not all of Paramore, but it goes all the way over to Summerlin. And then I said this. I said, how much more money we need to send to UCF or to help create a village out with this magnificent plan? See, I get upset when we sold property to UCF to develop their campus out of Creative Village that was worth $14.5 million. And the economic impact was supposed to be 2,000 jobs, 7,000, maybe 8,000 students coming, $20 million. But then I looked to see how much you had sold it for. And I kept looking, and I said, well, doggone, they sold the property in March of 2017 to the UCF campus for nothing, zero. And you decided to do all the remediation to clean up the contamination, which I asked for that information in December of 2017, and I finally got it, but you wanted to charge me $238 to get it. You spent almost $3 million doing remediation there. Then I just heard you giving the incubator to UCF another $125,000. And then we're getting a brand new public park in Creative Village. $7 million. And I said, how much more do we need to steer to Creative Village UCF? See, it's not the parking, it's what you say in your own documents. And then when I asked for what the information is going to be, how much we're going to make, even your form says, you don't know. Zero personal, operational capital, zero estimate. So are we putting the cart before the horse to do this today? And this is the second reading. You know, I do have other jobs, so I can't keep checking and holding you accountable. And I just go, well, how much more we have to steer that direction? So if it's to clean up and make it safe that people have to get permits and they can't park in their yards and all kinds of stuff, whatever the reasons may be, why did we have to put Creative Village on this if it was going to create revenue for everybody in the city and the division? So what are we gaining from giving all of this to this campus? And if money is the problem, why the heck did we give them property was worth $14.5 million? Just gave it to them. But yet, the people in Paramore have been waiting since 2017 for a health disparity study that's only $100,000. And we've been told you don't have the money. $6 million for a tree. I can keep going on. It's pathetic. And next time when I say something, I know what I said. I said try these programs and projects in other communities. And And I gave examples of what was done in Paramore. So clearly, people need to go back and review what I've said. Didn't say I had a problem with it. I just want to see it throughout the city. Throughout the
time's
city.
up.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer.
Say that again.
There's going to be another speaker on
Okay. Okay, we do have a second speaker on this same subject matter, Lisa Jones.
Hello. I actually would like to yield my time to Luana Gelser. Thank you, Dr. Jones. I appreciate that. I saw you over there. Mayor Dyer, I come before the City Council on a lot of occasions. And I come because I feel like it's my duty as a citizen to speak up for the voiceless. Whether you like what I have to say or not, it's not up to you, because this voice is controlled by the Almighty, and I'm doing His work. But when I was talking about how much money has been spent and why I have a problem with that $237 December 12th remediation, then I remember, wait a minute, remediation for the new fire station 2 on Robinson Street, $1.6 million. Remediation for the soccer stadium while we owned it. Remediation for Orlando Police Department headquarters. And I say that to say it's not the parking. It's that it's to generate revenue for Creative Village, and I'm looking at all of this wasteful spending. But the people that you get, even, I sat in a CRA meeting, and I was told, I forgot to bring up my recorder, because I tend to record when I'm in these meetings, because it's very hard to hear what their people are saying. And I was told that when they approved $219,000 for tree grades to protect the trees and create a village out of the CRA funds, that the revenue that they were going to get from the property taxes was the reason why they were doing that. And I'll say the person's name. The executive director, Thomas Chapman, told me that. Might have forgot, but I don't forget too much. And that made me go, doggone it, the trees are more important than most of the people that live in Paramount. So clearly something else is going on here. I'm just looking at, I can keep going. I'll be at the budget hearing meeting. What difference do it make? You're going to pass the budget. You're going to spend $1 million on the downtown master plan. You did $500,000 on a plan 5 years ago. I got that somewhere for Paramore. You keep spending money to say these things are great, but then you don't even know what we're going to benefit from it. So it's like, it's not the parking, it's what you said in your own document. The potential, go to Creative Village to improve. And so I don't have any problem with it. I just make me go, what is going on in this community especially, that we can throw this kind of money away to help them develop, and then those small little business owners who park those cars at the soccer games and all of these other places, some do have vendor license, because I did a drive-by, not drive-by, that's the wrong word. I drove by with a person to talk to them to see what they were doing and how would this impact them. And the impact is some of them the few dollars that they were going to make, they won't be able to make anymore. But I distinctly remember when the first arena was built, one of the revenue streams that the community was told was you'll be able to park some cars. I've always questioned that. And so I just don't see why we have to keep helping a company, Creative Village, UCF, Valencia Downtown Campus, with so much of my tax dollars and revenue, and now this for the parking. So I know you're gonna vote for it, but just to say, this is just a few things I was able to identify. Maybe if I spend a little bit more time, I might find some more things, but clearly there's something else that we need to be concerned about. And what we need to be concerned about is why we continue to help the very small special interest groups. And to me, that's corporate welfare. And I'm tired of seeing my tax dollars go to corporate welfare. Thank you.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Yeah, Mayor, I would just like a clarification, because I thought that the private lots were still going to be able to charge for parking during special events.
They are. That's
Well, there's a misrepresentation on that that's been happening, and you know, so you can't control what happens on social media. But I just want to be clear: this is about, and the way that I understand this is because UCF is coming in, we're going to have to deal with, you know, there might be students that would park in neighborhoods all day long. So we have to do some regulation of the parking, you know, time and all that, because we want the students to use the garages, because if they don't, then the residents aren't going to be able to use the parking in the neighborhoods. That's the way that I understand this. Now, this thing about not parking in front yards, I don't understand what the issue is with Commissioner Hill. Is there people that do this in your district? I don't know. I mean,
as far as parking during events, or
during events, or
indeed events, but
they're allowed to do that.
And we are currently right now working with our traffic division, working with OPD, working with staff to put some type of ordinance in place. But we do want the people in Paramore to be able to park in their front yards, so that they can receive revenue. It would be a travesty if those residents in Paramore could not park and the city makes all the revenue, or private vendors would. So yes, we're currently trying to make, and with that, we're making sure that those that are private homeowners there in that area have abilities to park during events. We have over 138 events here in the the Paramore area. So it has really been beneficial from homeowners and residents there to be able to have access to park.
Yeah, and I know you have advocated for that, Commissioner.
Yes.
That's why I was a little bit confused by what
Yes.
you know, and like I say, people say whatever they want. But this is more, this issue today is more to deal with the fact that you
And
don't want the
Creative Village,
neighborhood
yeah.
taken over by the students and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I mean, we're actually having a problem with that at the Pottery Studio. We had to get some permitted parking for our private lots, because we're concerned that once the students realize, oh, the Pottery Studio has a parking lot, that we won't be able to use our parking lot anymore. So again, this is just managing the expectations, trying to get the students to use the parking lots that they're supposed to, and that's what this is really
Indeed.
about. So thank you, Mayor.
Further discussion, hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right, we need to go back to Ordinance 2019-46, which relates to alcoholic beverages services. That is an ordinance that requires a public hearing after 5, unless we vote by a supermajority to hold a second public hearing at our normal city council meeting time, which is 2 o'clock. Staff recommends that we hold the second public hearing at a regularly scheduled city council meeting beginning at 2 p.m. on October the 7th, 2019 for second reading. Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, so that'll be heard at our regular meeting versus calling a special meeting. Okay, ordinance is on first reading number 1.
Ordinance 2019-48, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located west of Narcousie Road, north of Central Florida Greenway, Greenway, State Road 417, and south of Lake Nona Boulevard, and comprised of .56 acres of land, more or less, and amending the city's boundary description, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as urban village on the city's official future land use maps, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use maps, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's error, permit disclaimer, and effective date.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. And number 2.
Ordinance 2019-50, an ordinance of the City of Orlando, Florida, granting a petition to contract the boundaries of the Story Park Community Development District as initiated by the district's Board of Supervisors, amending ordinance number 2015-7, council document number 1503091-201, to contract the boundaries of the Story Park Community Development District, which is generally located east of State Road 417 and north of Moss Park Road, in accordance with said petition, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify relating to this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. That concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council for today.